The massive crystal spires of the Galactic Federation's homeworld shook like trees in a storm. Inside the Grand Council chamber, beings from across the galaxy sat in growing fear as bad news filled the air like poison. Admiral Kira stood at the center of the room. Her body looked like living glass, changing colors as her emotions shifted from blue calm to red panic. The holographic screens around her showed star maps with too many red marks, each one a dead solar system. 17 star systems are gone, she said, her voice sounding like wind chimes in a hurricane. The Vorthok swarm ate them all in just 1 month. Every planet, every moon, every living thing, all turned into more of those monsters. The other council members shifted nervously in their seats. Some had scales that changed color with worry. Others had multiple eyes that blinked in different patterns when stressed. But they all understood the same terrible truth. They were losing this war badly. Commander Hyen sat quietly in the back corner. He was human, which meant most of the other aliens barely noticed him. His species was new to galactic politics, having only joined the Federation 50 years ago. To these ancient civilizations, humans were like children playing with sticks while adults fought with laser cannons. Chancellor Vex spoke up, his bug-like voice clicking and buzzing. What about the Nexus Collective? Their computer viruses can break into anything electronic. Shimmering robot shape appeared in the Air Overseer unit. 7,742? Its mechanical voice had no emotion as it delivered more bad news. Our viruses do nothing. The swarm is part machine, part living creature. They change faster than we can attack them. Every time we try something new, they learn and become stronger. Admiral Kira's crystal body turned a darker shade of blue. If they keep eating star systems at this speed, they will reach our most important worlds in 6 months. After that, we calculate 2 years before every living thing in the galaxy is dead or turned into one of them. The room fell silent except for the nervous breathing and mechanical humming of various alien life forms. Ash. Same thing. How do you fight an enemy that eats entire planets and gets stronger with every victory? The Xeroth Empire had tried everything. Their antimatter bombs could destroy entire moons, but they barely scratched the swarm ships. The Luminari were beings made of pure energy who could travel at light speed. But their most powerful attacks passed right through the enemy like flashlights shining on fog. The Nexus Collective had sent millions of computer viruses, designed to shut down enemy systems. But the swarm was not just machines. They were something new. Something that combined living flesh with artificial intelligence and ways. No one understood. Commander Hyen watched the panic grow around him. These civilizations had ruled the galaxy for thousands of years. They had technology that seemed like magic, weapons that could crack planets, and knowledge that spanned millions of worlds. But now they sat like scared children in the dark. He cleared his throat softly. Maybe we need to try something different. Something they have never seen before. The other delegates turned to look at him with expressions ranging from confusion to annoyance. Admiral Kira's crystal form flickered with what might have been amusement or irritation. Different how? She asked, her voice carrying the tone adults use when humoring a child's silly question. Chancellor Vex's multiple eyes focused on the human with obvious dismissal. Commander Hyen, your species has been in space for less than a century. What could you possibly suggest that our ancient civilizations have not already considered? Hyen stood up slowly, feeling the weight of every alien gaze in the room. That might be exactly the point. You've all been fighting the same way for thousands of years. Energy weapons, computer attacks, big explosions. But what if the answer is not about having better technology? Overseer Unit 7742's robotic head tilted slightly. Explain. The swarm learns from every attack you make, Hyen said, his voice growing stronger. They adapt to your energy weapons, your viruses, your bombs. But they can only adapt to things they understand. What if we used something completely outside their experience? The room buzzed with nervous conversation in dozens of alien languages. Some delegates seemed interested, others looked skeptical, and a few appeared openly hostile to the idea that a primitive human might have answers they lacked. Admiral Kira raised one translucent hand for silence. What exactly are you proposing? Hyan smiled, but it was not a pleasant expression. I am suggesting we stop fighting like civilized beings and start fighting like what we really are under all this technology. Predators who climb to the top of our worlds by being better hunters than anything else. The silence that followed was different from before. It was not the quiet of despair, the stillness that comes when someone says something that might actually work, or might be completely insane. Chancellor, Vex leaned forward. Are you talking about biological warfare? Hyan's smile grew wider and more dangerous. I am talking about showing the swarm what real monsters look like. The holographic image flickered to life in the Federation Council chamber, showing a human woman in a white lab coat standing in what looked like a medical facility. But the sounds coming from behind Dr. Gina were not normal hospital noises. They were deep growls, mechanical worry, and the hiss of advanced machinery. Thank you for allowing Earth to present our solution, Dr. Gina said calmly, as if she were discussing the weather instead of galactic extinction. Behind her, massive shapes moved in the shadows of reinforced glass chambers. Admiral Kira's crystal body flashed bright red with shock. Did you just say you want to send animals to fight the swarm? Living creatures against enemies that have destroyed our most powerful war fleets? The alien delegates began talking among themselves in worried voices. Some laughed, thinking this was a joke. Others looked angry that the humans were wasting precious time with such a silly idea. Dr. Gina remained perfectly calm. Not just animals. Enhanced animals, Earth's deadliest predators, changed by our science to become something the galaxy has never seen. A new figure stepped into view, Colonel Tay, a man whose face was covered in scars from old battles. His left eye had been replaced with a cybernetic implant that glowed softly blue. When he spoke, his voice was rough like sandpaper. What, Doctor? Gina means is that we have taken Earth's natural killing machines and made them better, stronger, smarter, more dangerous than anything that has ever lived. Dr. Gina pressed a button on her control panel. The holographic display changed to show the inside of the facility. The alien delegates gasped, and some jumped. Back in their seats, massive creatures moved behind thick walls of reinforced glass. In one chamber, a bear the size of a small vehicle stood on its back legs. But this was no ordinary bear. Its claws had been replaced with titanium blades that gleamed like swords. Tubes and wires connected to its body, and its eyes glowed with electronic intelligence. Meet Kodiak 7, Dr. Gina said proudly. He can survive in the vacuum of space for hours. His claws can cut through starship armor. His enhanced brain can process tactical information faster than most computers. In another chamber, a pack of wolves moved together like dancers. But these wolves had metal plates protecting vital organs, and their eyes showed the same electronic glow as the bear. They moved with perfect coordination, like parts of the same machine. Our pack hunters, Colonel Tay explained. Each one is connected to the others through neural implants. They think as one mind, but act with individual creativity. Perfect teamwork. With perfect independence. Chancellor Vex's bug-like voice buzzed with disbelief. This is madness. Living creatures cannot survive in space. They cannot breathe without air. How do you expect soft flesh to penetrate armor that stops our plasma cannons? Dr. Gina smiled, and there was something cold in her expression. These are not soft anymore. Watch. The display changed again. Now they could see eagles, but eagles, as large as human beings. Their wings were partially mechanical, with metal feathers that could extend and retract. Their eyes were massive and filled with electronic components. It's an enhanced vision that can see through solid matter, Dr. Gina explained. They can spot weak points in enemy armor from kilometers away. Their talons can grip onto moving spaceships, traveling at incredible speeds. Overseer Unit 7742's mechanical voice carried obvious doubt. Even if these creatures could somehow function in space combat, the swarm operates on hive mind principles. They react as one massive intelligence. How can individual animals compete? With that, Commander Hyen, who had been quiet until now, leaned forward in his chair. That is exactly why this will work. The swarm expects predictable responses. Energy weapons always fire in straight lines. Computer viruses always follow programmed patterns. Explosions always expand in predictable ways. Dr. Gina nodded enthusiastically. But predators, real hunters, they do not follow patterns. A wolf does not attack the same way twice. A bear does not give up when the first plan fails. An eagle changes its hunting strategy based on what its prey does. Colonel Tay's scarred face showed a grim smile. Our intelligence division has been studying the swarm for months. They are vulnerable to internal damage, something our external weapons cannot provide. But a pack of enhanced predators inside their ships, that is a different kind of warfare. Entirely, the chamber fell silent as the alien delegates tried to process what they were seeing. The most advanced civilizations in the galaxy, with technology that seemed like magic, were being offered help by humans using enhanced animals. Admiral Kira's crystal form flickered through several colors, before settling on a worried purple. And if this plan fails, if your creatures are simply destroyed like everything else we have tried, Colonel Tay's smile became wider and somehow more frightening. Then the swarm will learn something important about Earth. We do not just fight to win. We fight to make our enemies regret ever threatening us. Even if we lose, we will give them nightmares. Dr. Gina pressed another button, and the sounds from the facility grew louder. Roars, howls, and mechanical worry filled the council chamber through the audio link. The swarm thinks it knows what life looks like, she said quietly. We're about to show them how wrong they are. Captain Minho felt his stomach drop as their small attack ship flew toward the enemy vessel. He had been in many battles before, but nothing had prepared him for the sight of a Vorthok bioship up close. It was like looking at a living nightmare, a creature the size of a city that breathed and pulsed with alien life. 30 seconds until we go in, he said into his communication device, trying to keep his voice steady. Around him, his team was getting ready for what might be their last mission. But this was not an ordinary military team. Lieutenant Swa sat across from him, her head shaved to show the metal implants that had been surgically placed into her skull. Blue lights blinked along the implants as she connected her mind to the enhanced wolves in the next compartment. Her eyes rolled back, showing only white as she shared thoughts with the pack. The wolves are ready, she said in a strange, distant voice. They can smell the enemy ship even through the metal walls. They want to hunt. Captain Minho looked through the small window at his own partner. Khan was not like any bear that had ever existed in nature. He was 3 times the size of a normal bear. With muscles enhanced by genetic modification, his natural claws had been removed and replaced with curved blades made of titanium that could cut through steel like butter. A breathing mask covered his snout, connected to tubes that would allow him to survive in the vacuum of space. Khan's small, intelligent eyes met Minho's gaze. There was understanding there, the kind of partnership that only comes from training together for years. They both knew this mission was probably suicide, but they also knew it was their only chance to save the galaxy. Beginning penetration. Sequence announced their pilot over the intercom. Hold tight, everyone. This is going to be rough. The small pods they rode in were designed for one purpose: to drill through the outer shell of enemy ships like bullets through armor. Plasma drills on the front of each pod began to glow white-hot as they approached the bioship's surface. The enemy vessel was unlike anything in the Federation's databases. Instead of metal and plastic, its hull was made of living tissue that moved and rippled like skin. Weapons grew from its surface like tumors, tracking their approach with organic sensors that looked like giant eyes. Impact in 5 seconds, the pilot warned. The collision felt like being inside a bell when someone hits it with a hammer. Minho's teeth rattled and his vision blurred as their pods smashed through layer after layer of living armor. Ate the plasma. Drill screamed as it burned through alien flesh and biomechanical defenses. Then, suddenly they were through. The interior of the bioship was even more disturbing than the outside. The walls were not walls at all, but the inside of a living creature. They pulsed with a heartbeat, and strange fluids dripped from ceiling-like surfaces that looked like the roof of a mouth. The air was thick and humid, filled with the smell of something that was not quite alive and not quite dead. Everyone out, Captain Minho ordered as their pod came to a stop. Pack formation, just like we practiced. Lieutenant Swa opened her eyes, and they now glowed with the same blue light as her implants. she moved to release the wolves from their traveling compartments. 6 enhanced predators emerged, each one the size of a large dog, but with muscles like steel cables and teeth that had been replaced with metal fangs. The wolves spread out immediately, their enhanced noses picking up scents that human senses could never detect. Their cybernetic eyes recorded everything they saw, creating a map of the ship's interior that was instantly shared with their human partners through the neural link. Khan emerged from his compartment with a sound like distant thunder. His titanium claws clicked against the organic floor as he positioned himself near Captain Minho. Despite his massive size, he moved with the silent grace of a natural predator. "Contact," whispered one of the wolves through Lieutenant Swa's neural link. "Enemy drones approaching from the left corridor." The swarm drones that rounded the corner moved with the precise mechanical coordination that had made them so effective. Against Federation forces, they were part machine and part living creature, with multiple arms ending in cutting tools and weapons. Their sensors swept the area, cataloging threats and calculating attack patterns, but when they saw the Earth creatures, something unexpected happened. They stopped. For the first time since the war began, swarm drones hesitated. Their hive mind intelligence had no reference for what they were seeing. These were not energy weapons, or computer viruses, or explosive devices. These were living predators, and some ancient programming deep in their biomechanical brains recognized the danger. That moment of hesitation was all the Earth hunters needed. Lieutenant Swaz's wolves attacked as one unit, but not in any predictable pattern. One leaped high to strike at a drone's sensor cluster, while another went low to sever mechanical legs. The third wolf flanked around behind to attack from an unexpected angle. Khan charged forward like a furry avalanche, his titanium claws cutting through drone armor like it was made of paper, but it was not just brute force. He moved with intelligence, targeting weak points that his enhanced senses could detect. Captain Minho and his human team members used weapons and tactics that changed, moment by moment, adapting to whatever the enemy did. The swarm's hive mind tried to calculate their next moves. But humans do not think like computers. Within minutes, the first group of drones was destroyed. But more were coming, and the real hunt was just beginning. Fleet Admiral Nari stood in the command center high above Earth, watching dozens of screens that showed battles happening across the galaxy. Her gray hair was pulled back tightly, and her face carried the lines of someone who had made many hard decisions. But today, for the first time in months, she was smiling. "Admiral, we have another victory report," said Commander Jinwoo, rushing to her side with a data pad in his hands. He was much younger than the Admiral, but his eyes held the same sharp intelligence. "The Beast Pack and the Rigel system just took down their third swarm vessel this week." Admiral Nari nodded slowly, her smile growing wider. 17 enemy ships destroyed in 7 days. The alien fleets could not manage 17 kills in 7 months. Around them, the command center buzzed with activity. Human officers monitored communications from across the galaxy, while alien observers watched in growing amazement and concern. The Federation representatives had come to Earth expecting to witness humanity's desperate last attempt to help. Instead, they were seeing something that looked very much like a planned military operation. "What is the status of our hidden positions?" Admiral Nari asked, turning to another screen that showed a map of the entire galaxy. Captain Bora's voice came through the communication system from her position near the galaxy's outer edge. "All hunting parties are in position and ready, Admiral. We have enhanced packs waiting in the shadow of every major asteroid belt on every abandoned world. In every dead system between here and the swarm's advance." The alien delegates standing nearby exchanged worried looks. Admiral Kira's crystal body flickered through several colors, before settling on a deep purple that indicated confusion and growing concern. "Excuse me," she said, her voice carrying a sharp edge. "Did you just say you have been placing military units throughout the galaxy? For how long has this been happening?" Admiral Nari turned to face the alien delegation. Her expression was calm, but there was something in her eyes that made even the advanced alien beings step back slightly. "We began positioning our hunters the day we learned about the swarm," she said simply. "While your governments were holding meetings and debates, We were studying star charts and identifying every possible route the enemy might take. Commander Jinwoo pulled up a new display that showed the galaxy from above. Thousands of small red dots appeared, scattered across hundreds of star systems. Each dot represents a beast pack in position. Swarm cannot move anywhere without encountering our predators. Chancellor Vex's multiple eyes focused on the display with growing alarm. His insect-like voice buzzed with distress. You have placed military forces throughout Federation space without permission from any government. This is an act of war against your own allies. No, said Admiral Nari firmly. This is an act of protection. Every world that you were unable to defend now has Earth's guardians watching from the darkness. As if her words had summoned them, new reports began flooding in from across the galaxy. Commander Jinwoo read them aloud as they appeared on his screen. Swarm vessel destroyed in the Vega system, internal attacked by pack leader Toma and her enhanced wolf unit. Enemy bioship disabled in the Centauri region, Con-class bear unit led by Sergeant Day. 3 swarm scouts eliminated near the Horsehead, Nebula aerial specialists under Lieutenant Mira's command. The alien delegates listened to the reports with a mixture of relief and growing unease. They were winning the war. But the way they were winning felt wrong somehow. Overseer Unit 7742's mechanical voice carried a tone of concern that should have been impossible for a robot. How many of these beast packs have you deployed without our knowledge? Admiral Nari looked at the galaxy map, where more red dots appeared every few seconds as hidden units revealed themselves by engaging the enemy. Enough. The swarm thinks it is hunting through empty space toward defenseless worlds. Instead, it is walking into the largest trap in galactic history. Captain Bora's voice came through the communication system again, excitement clear in her tone. Admiral, we are receiving reports that the swarm is beginning to change its movement patterns. They are trying to avoid systems where they have encountered our packs. Good, Admiral Nari replied. Let them run. We have packs waiting in every system they might flee to. The alien observers stood in stunned silence as they began to understand the true scope of what humanity had done. While the great civilizations of the galaxy had fought the swarm with traditional military tactics, humans had quietly turned the entire galaxy into their hunting ground. Admiral Kira's crystal form flickered rapidly through different colors. You have made the galaxy into your territory without asking anyone's permission. Admiral Nari turned to face her with a calm expression. We have made the galaxy safe. Sure. Governments spent months arguing about what to do while the swarm consumed entire star systems. We spent those same months taking action. More victory reports continued to flow in. The swarm, which had seemed unstoppable just weeks ago, was now being systematically hunted and destroyed by Earth's enhanced predators. But the alien delegates were beginning to realize that they had traded one threat for another. The galaxy was safe from the swarm, but now it belonged to the hunters from Earth. And no one had asked them if that was what they wanted. The swarm's main ship was larger than anything that should have been able to exist in space. It was bigger than Earth's moon, a living creature that pulsed and breathed in the darkness between stars. General Doyen stared at it through his ship's window and felt a chill run down his spine. This was the brain of the enemy that had almost destroyed the galaxy. Final approach beginning, he said into his communication device. Remember, we are not just fighting for victory today. We are showing the universe that humans and our animal partners belong here, among the stars. Beside him, his enhanced bear partner Titan let out a low growl that sounded like distant thunder. Titan was the largest enhanced animal Earth had ever created, as big as a small building. With muscles like steel cables and claws made of the hardest metal humans could forge, his breathing apparatus hissed softly as he prepared for what might be their last battle. Around them, the rest of the assault team made their final preparations. Lieutenant Hannah synchronized her neural implants with her pack of enhanced wolves. Each one as intelligent as a human scientist, but with the hunting instincts of their wild ancestors. Captain Zhang checked his equipment, while his eagle partner, Razor, spread wings that were half metal and half flesh, eyes that could see through solid matter, scanning the enemy ship for weaknesses. the stealth ships moved closer to the massive biovessel, their hulls designed to be invisible to enemy sensors. But as they approached, General Doyon could see that the ship's surface was covered with millions of smaller creatures, like antibodies in a bloodstream, all working to protect the central intelligence. "Penetration successful," whispered their pilot as the ship slipped through gaps in the outer defenses. "You are now inside the enemy's main body." The interior of the core vessel was like being inside a living nightmare. The walls were not metal or plastic, but actual flesh that moved and breathed. Strange lights pulsed along what might have been veins or nerves, and the air was thick with the smell of something ancient and alien. General Doyon led his team through corridors that twisted and changed shape as they moved. The swarm's central consciousness knew they were there, and it was trying to trap them or confuse them. But Earth's hunters had spent years learning to adapt to any environment. "The wolves have found the path," Lieutenant Hannah reported, her voice strange and distant as she shared thoughts with her enhanced pack. "The central brain is 3 kilometers deeper into the ship." They moved like ghosts through the living ship, avoiding the immune system creatures that patrolled the corridors. When they could not avoid a fight, they struck quickly and silently. Leaving no trace of their passage, Captain Jung's Eagle Razor flew ahead, its enhanced vision able to see through the ship's flesh and bone to map the route to the central chamber. "Target located," Jung reported. "The main brain is directly ahead, but it knows we are coming." When they finally reached the central chamber, General Doyon stopped and stared in amazement and horror. The swarm's true form was a massive brain, the size of a city block, covered in millions of connections that stretched out like spider webs to every part of the ship. It had been growing for thousands of years, becoming more intelligent and more dangerous with each passing century. The brain recognized them as the ultimate threat to its existence. Suddenly, the chamber filled with every defense the swarm could create: flying attack drones, ground-based weapons, and creatures that had been designed specifically to kill intruders. "All units, attack pattern, Omega," General Doyon ordered as the battle began. The fight was like nothing anyone had ever seen before. Lieutenant Hannah's wolves moved as one mind but acted with individual creativity, confusing the enemy's targeting systems. Captain Jong and Razor attacked from above, using their enhanced vision to spot weak points in the brain's defenses. But it was Titan who delivered the killing blow.
Ow!
The massive enhanced bear charged through enemy fire like it was rain, his titanium claws cutting through defense systems that had been designed to stop starship weapons. When he reached the central processing cluster, the part of the brain that controlled everything, struck with all his enhanced strength. The effect was immediate and dramatic. The massive brain let out a sound like a dying scream that could be heard throughout the ship. The lights began to flicker and fade, and the walls stopped their constant breathing motion. Across the galaxy, every swarm vessel simply stopped working. Without connection to their central intelligence, they became nothing more than empty shells drifting in space. Hours later, General Doyon stood in the Federation Council chamber, surrounded by alien delegates who looked at him with a mixture of gratitude and fear. Admiral Nari was there too, her weathered face showing satisfaction at a job well done. "The crisis is over," Admiral Nari announced to the assembled representatives. "The galaxy is safe from the swarm." But as the alien delegates looked around the room, they began to understand that something fundamental had changed. The humans were no longer the primitive species that had joined the Federation 50 years ago. They had proven themselves to be the most dangerous hunters in the galaxy. Earth's children had claimed their place among the stars, and no one would ever again question whether they belonged there.